So when they say bug delver, is this what they meant? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today, Cal has given us an interesting idea for a video. The idea is just take a stock Delver deck list and throw in Dimir Spybug with minimal other changes to the deck list to see how good Surveil is. So this is a flying and menace creature, and whenever you surveil, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And if you control a Dragon's Rage Channeler, you reasonably could be surveilling multiple times in a single turn cycle. And is this good enough for Legacy? And when I say this, I mean, can it reach the Legacy bar? Not, is this the best thing to do in your new Delver deck? Because the answer there is almost certainly no, because all of the, genius Delver pilots aren't trying out this tech. But is this maybe going to be the next Sprite Dragon that could occasionally see play? Now that might be reasonable here. So what I have done is I took a challenge-winning Legacy Grixis Delver deck and I modified it very, very lightly. I junked 4 cards for the 4 Dimir Spybugs. I think they were Orcish Bowmasters and then one other flex slot of some kind. And I turned a couple of Stifles into Considers to just get a little more Surveil in there. And I junked 1 Wasteland for 1 Undercity Sewers. The current Grixis Delver deck list is not running a Surveil land. I figured we would want at least 1 in there. And it's possible I might even want more than that. Otherwise, I've made no changes here. Very, very stock. So it's all about this card. Is this card, on average, going to be a reasonable Magic the Gathering card to play? Or am I going to pull my hair out as this thing just eats Orcish Bowmaster triggers and I am a sad panda? We'll find out. And if you need your copies of Dimir Spybug from, I believe, Murders at Karlov Manor, nobody actually remembers the name of that set, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. They're my favorite place to shop. I shopped there recently, and I'm going to be selling them a bunch of stuff in about 2 days at MagicCon Chicago. Promo code ThrabenU will save you on your orders if you place them online. And you always get free shipping, which is a major perk. All right, let's go see how real Dimir Spybug feels in action. Slaps roof of car. We can fit so much Surveil in this bad boy. Hopefully we don't get wastelanded though, holy shit. That's not wasteland, so great start for us. All right, no opposing play. Greed? I think greed. We're gonna try to hit another land drop here. That's another land drop. We will surveil that same land twice. I'm just gonna swing in for 1 here and play the Naked Delver. Notably, I think I should have cast Ponder, not Consider there. I was thinking that the double Surveil was pretty likely to get us a land, and then I could save the Ponder for when I had a fetch a little bit later, but I think that was just unnecessarily greedy on my end. Let's see what opponent is doing. Could be something like Sneak and Show. There's a Lightning Bolt. I think I'm just going to let that happen. I think there's just going to be more important things to fight over later. The Murktide Regent sized threats, for example. I will not reveal Dimir Spybug. Slightly awkward here. I need another color of mana. There is some real tension here on my Ponder between wanting to find the mana for this and wanting to set up Delver. We're going to Ponder and figure out how the remainder of this turn is going to go. That's fine. We'll take the Delta. I think with 2 more threats in hand, I will offer a Delver for Delver trade. Yeah. Opponent does not accept. This is Dazable. I don't believe that I'm fighting over it. Yeah, that is fine. And this is also why I did not Force of Will in the previous turn cycle. All right, my opponent's Delver flips to Ponder. So I'm eating 3 damage. I just have enough to play Murktide Regent around days already, with Force of Will backup at that. That's what I want to fight over. That's what I think matters. Sure, Bobble's fine. Now my opponent knows whether or not my Delver is flipping. They get their redraw. I will flip to Ponder. Excellent. I will send in for 3. Opponent's at 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's Murktide. 5/5 Murktide is in play. I'm just going to leave up Force of Will around days here. There's a fetch. That is a Molten Collapse. I'm going to Force of Will pitching Ponder here. That way if my opponent, like, brainstorms into something I could potentially consider for a follow-up. Excellent. Oh, shit. Good enough. Dimir Spybug unbeatable. Alright, so I would like a pile of Pyroblasts here so that I get better at beating an opposing Murktide Regent. A Braid is inefficient, but is potentially acceptable. And I could Hydroblast for red threats. I am not a Delver player. It used to be, in these sorts of matchups, that you would often board out Force of Will for fair 1-for-1 removal. But Legacy has gotten a lot more powerful. And it is more important to just stop opposing threats. So I don't really know if that heuristic is true anymore. We'll try it. Alright, my hand's fine. We've got Delta and Bobble. And opponent is just passing the turn. I have a Bobble of my own. I'm going to lead on Underground Sea and play a Delver. Now I'll Bobble and try to use the Bobble to help flip Delver, assuming that Delver is still alive. That may or may not actually be happening. Now my opponent has bobbled themselves. It turns out they want that card, so they are not cracking their fetch land immediately. Wasteland is, in theory, fine, but it does mean that I can get knocked off of this Daze that I want to use to protect my Delver. Yep, I don't get to Daze that, but I played my less attractive land last turn, anticipating that I could get Wastelanded. Let's look at my own top card of library. That is a land. So now I want to put the Delver trigger on bottom so that I draw my card first. Now I get a fresh look for Delver. Seems like it was another land. I suppose we're just getting in there immediately. This is only an island basic land deck. It is. I think I'm just going to throw another land into graveyard here though, because I want to grow my graveyard for Murktide Regent. That just feels important here. Opponent's at 18. I do not currently feel favored. I would really fucking like to draw a Brainstorm here. And we're chilling. Delver trigger. Revealing Pyroblast. Yeah. This would be a small Murktide Regent if I did this immediately. So I'm just going to make a land drop, intend on surveilling and passing the turn. Yeah, sure. Like, I have 2 more lands in hand. This is certainly not the end of the world. So we'll Undercity Sewers. That's an okay card, but I really want stuff in my graveyard here. Yeah, sure. My opponent is not fetching around a Stifle here. A Dimir Spybug. I don't super care if this gets countered. This game is really about resolving this Murktide Regent and hitting my opponent 3 times with it. I don't care if this gets dazed. I don't care if this gets pyroblasted. I'm just going to offer that up and try to just treat it as a 1-for-1 trade. Dimir Spybug is good on turn 2. Like, you DRC into it and you do some disgusting things. Like, that is conceptually what you want that card to do. We going? We might just be going. We get Bolt to grow it, and then I will just take some lands out of graveyard. All right, Murktide's in play. I'm gonna go ahead and no, I'm not gonna bobble yet. I'll let that sit there for a second. That is a Molten Collapse, which does not get dazed and does not get pyroblasted. So that's unfortunate. I'm eating 3 from DRC. I'm at 15. Ooh, does opponent have another threat? That I can daze, and I will. Now we'll go to end step. I'm going to bobble myself here. Molten Collapse is fine. I will draw that. We will not use the fetch land immediately. So draw, land drop, cast, black and red. And now we each are pretty low on resources. Like, it's 2 cards to 2 cards after my opponent draws. And this kind of becomes who hits the big scary thing first. Oddly, the red cards are scariest for me right now. My opponent did not shuffle. They liked whatever it is they just got. I'm going to put this into play. There's just soft permission to play around. I want to be able to Pyroblast around a Daze. Now, I only have one Undercity Sewers, so this card is currently not that exciting. I think there is a decent chance that it just eats a Lightning Bolt style card. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about in the intro, right? Yep, that is not a Pyroblastable card. I don't have a second Surveil land to play around this exact instance. I think I just need to cantrip here. My top card is a Wasteland. I would not like to draw that, so let's fetch. I will grab a Volk. We'll take a redraw and get pinged by Bowmasters for doing so. DRC is perfectly reasonable, but it is good damage for my opponent. Their orc gets bigger too. I'll take 3 more in combat here. I am at 10. Fucking Pyroblasts, man. Fucking Pyroblasts. Sure. Well, Delver as a follow-up. Given that I'm at the lower life total, I think I make the trade here. I think the current board is favorable to my opponent, though. Actually, I'll let that resolve. I will Pyroblast it at end step to make sure like a Murktide Regent doesn't follow it up or something. Oop. I do not want to reveal another Delver of Secrets. I will, however, draw it. Assuming that at some point both of these Delvers flipping just puts the foot on the metaphorical gas pedal hard enough to ignore the fact that I can't easily cantrip. With multiple Delvers and a fetch land in play, I'm pretty decent at flipping Delvers. Alright. I will eat the 2 damage here. Alright, so my opponent gets their redraw first, then Delver trigger happens. That is a consider. So yes, I'm going to set a stop here. Yes, reveal consider, but now I don't want to draw it because of Bowmasters. So I'm just going to fetch an Underground Sea. Sure. So I think I'm holding back defensively and also not casting Ponder. I think I'm in a bad position that gets way better if I find something like a Murktide Regent or a Lightning Bolt that just gets rid of this. Fuck, my opponent found the Murktide first. Now I would have to cast this Ponder. Yep. I'm going to block. I am in a bad position. I need to answer this Murktide. Okay. So I will play DRC, and then I can dig for an answer to my opponent's Murktide Regent. Lightning Bolt is not an answer to Murktide Regent. Lightning Bolt is great for Bowmasters, but I'm more or less dead to Murktide hitting me. We're looking for something like a Pyroblast here, or a Molten Collapse. That's none of that. Shuffle. That is an Abrade. So I can Abrade Bowmaster, chump block here, take 1, go to 5. Technically alive, but it feels bad. The 3 damage here is also just not enough to trade with Murktide. Yeah, that can go on top. So you're telling me there's a chance. But I am dead to any removal spell. Nice, nice. I mean, like, maybe not nice, but, you know. So we'll clear a bunch of stuff out of Graveyard. I now have the larger creature, but the issue is that my opponent is going wide of what I am currently doing. Okay, the Delver does not naturally flip. That is nice. Yeah, and like I am dead to Lightning Bolt regardless. Yeah, that's also not great. So now I take 3 damage. I am at 2. My opponent has 3 creatures. I don't think I have any sort of board wipe that gets me out of that situation. So we're dead. We can try a game where we're on the play. I still want these Pyroblasts, but they sure don't answer everything. Braid answers more things than a Hydroblast does. Still kind of unsure where we fall on Force of Will. This hand is fine. Yeah, we are just starting the game with threat into threat, backed by Daze. This threat is perhaps less interesting without a DRC to back it up. I will just Daze that. I will just Daze that. Opponent Daze is back. Everybody's Delvering. I would love it if my Delver just blind flipped here. That would be cool. Island. I will not reveal that. There's now some tension here between, like, casting a spell and trying to save this to make Spybug better. I think I am going to once again offer the Delver for Delver trade. Either I get a free point of damage, or my Delver turned into a removal spell. Alright, opponent does not block. I think I just don't want to be wastelanded immediately. So let's do this. Opponent's Delver does not flip. They can get better at flipping it. Bowmaster is so much better than Spybug in a blue mirror. I'll go to 19. Alright, so my opponent is bobbling immediately to use with their Scalding turn. So Delver trigger. It is an Underground Sea. I don't love that. I could consider it off of my deck, but I really just want to put another threat into play. So I'm not going to reveal that. I will attack for my whopping 1 point of damage. Opponent goes to 18, and then I will Spybug. It is in play. I am not going to rejoice over that yet, though. Like, Bolt, Pyroblast, Orcish Bowmasters, there's so many things that mess with this. So Delver trigger. What? 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 Okay. Alright. Okay, they value the Spybug more than the Delver. So now Delver trigger. Yes, I will flip to a Brainstorm. That Brainstorm is very, very, very good here. Before I Brainstorm, I'm going to go ahead and just attack for 3. There's enough card types in there where if my opponent were to Force of Will or Daze something, like this could accidentally turn into a 3/3. Let's find something other than lands. Oh god, it's lands. So bam, bam, batch, bulk, immediately Pyroblast Delver, and I'm just gonna hold. I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to hold Consider because my opponent is an Orcish Bowmaster deck. But, like, I am trying to be a Spybug deck, which means that I want to hold this effect. Just very, very awkward for me. Sure. Opponent junks 1 Delver, but keeps another card. I suppose I have the higher life total still. Oh, geez. This is so much land. We even brainstormed 2 away. Let's consider. No! Fuck! I'm going to look at my own top card here. Oh joy, a land. We will be fetching that away. So now I can Surveil. Bolt is fine. I'm gonna get in there. I think pumping the brakes is likely a bad thing. So now we attempt to Lightning Bolt one of these, which hopefully it works. Okay, it did. So now hopefully my opponent's hand is just 4 lands. And there's no other problems that we have to worry about. That would be swell if they just had 4 lands in hand and did not play anything meaningful. It's a Murktide Regent, and it's huge. 3 card types for DRC. Daze is not great at this point in time. I think this is effectively the game over point. I don't think I am literally dead, but I don't think I recover from a Murktide Regent hit for 7. And any Lightning Bolt, Pyroblast, or whatever kind of just puts my opponent over the top here. Yeah, no, that's fine. We are literally or effectively dead to that. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Just the best place to host your deck lists online, just full period. It is. And I can say lots of nice things about them, or I can just show you that I have 328 deck lists on this site, and I think that's about the best endorsement that I can give them. All right. We have a reasonable Delver-looking hand. Hopefully I can just kind of go deep with DRC on my next turn, or like wasteland my opponent while doing 1 cantrip. That's a basic land. Ooh. Let's go and get rid of some of this land here. Those are threats. If my opponent is playing Prismatic Vista, a decent portion of their mana base is probably basic. I'm going to get rid of 2 lands here, I think. And then I'm just going to wait for a little bit more information. Like, I don't know if this is going to be some sort of Orzhov deck, or if this is just a funny-looking Delver deck of some kind, or what. Dimir Spybug is putting really awkward tension on my plays. I would love to Surveil land. I would like to cast Consider, but this is making me want to do neither one of those things. Sure. Oh shit, I lost the Spybug. Everyone respects the little guy. Everyone respects the little guy. I think I'm just going to grab an Underground Sea and just consider immediately. You can go to Graveyard, you're slow here. That's more mana, which is not what I want. I'm going to Ponder. No. Yeah! I'm not, like, stoked about that or anything, but hopefully that's fine. Ponder, consider, Brainstorm, Creature, Land? That's a 6/6 Murktide Regent. It's only backed by days, so, like, sometimes that's just gonna eat it, and that is what it is. My opponent plays a Goyf. I've just got days for that, though. Or Molten Collapse for it, for that matter. So it seems like my opponent is... Fuck. Bigger than a Delver deck. That's fine. Bigger than a Delver deck, but maybe still in the tempo category. I wouldn't be surprised to see things like Kaito come in. Delver's fine. I don't think I'm going to Molten Collapse Baleful Strix immediately. This is where I wish that I had Orcish Bowmasters in my deck. That's just such a clean answer to Strix while giving up so little, whereas it's going to cost me an entire card to get rid of Strix at some point. Alright, I'm eating that. Kaito. Oh, it is Yuriko instead. It is actually just ninjas. Alright. Okay, yeah, my opponent is a full-on ninjas deck. So if they replay the Strix, I can just daze that. I think I'm going to do that like this. Use this to help with Delver. Ponder can stay on top. I'm going to bounce that land back to my hand. So Infiltrator's gone. But now my opponent gets to resolve their Strix. I get to flip Delver. There's a lot of ways to play this turn. I think I want to make my Ponder better. Nice. I'm going to Ponder. Wish I had another mana here. I think I'm going to go Daze, Bolt, Delver, don't shuffle, play Delver, pass turn, and next turn try to clear both creatures. This guarantees that Delver flips, I'm attacking for 6, and hopefully Yuriko does not just burn me out here. All right, that's not quite how I saw this going, conceptually. It is another Infiltrator. So this is now 2 triggers here. I'm at 10. All right, that's Polluted Delta. Cool. So opponent low rolled with Yuriko. Baleful Strix is an asshole. And then we've got a Brainstorm. This is a guaranteed Delver flip to Lightning Bolt. I Lightning Bolt the Strix, and I hope that my next spell resolves. Opponent is at 4. And now I think we nuke Yuriko. I think Yuriko is scarier than Ingenious Infiltrator by a lot. And this is just, you know, hands off the wheel. Snuff Out is not alternate costable anymore. Fuck! Fuck you, Baleful Strix. My next card is a Daze. God damn it. No, absolutely fucking not. Where are my goddamn Orcish Bowmasters? Pyroblasts in Braid, probably good enough. The rest of this stuff is not super exciting. What's my approach? I think my approach is play dudes and try to remove my opponent's creatures. I think I'm going to get rid of Force of Wills. My opponent is just the better Force of Will deck here. They can draw so many more cards than I can. I don't think this hand is a mulligan, but this is not the turn 1 threat hand that I would like. I'm going to try to use Mishra's Bauble to inform how I am going to play this turn. So I am about to draw a Delver, which is fine. That is a card that I would like to draw. So just going to play Underground Sea and pass. I'll try to save that Surveil land for a little bit more value later. That is a Tameo. I'm going to float a blue and attempt to daze that. My mana looks like it's going to be constrained. I think I just Brainstorm here. I'm going to put a Pyroblast 2 down so that it flips Delver. I can't cast that Pyroblast currently. But that's Future Phil's problem right now. Opponent's got Swamp. I will absolutely daze that. Yeah. So now I lose my threat. I can't wasteland my opponent's stuff. I am drawing a dead card here. If I ponder, it's bad. Let's try to find an answer to Bowmaster. That does not answer Bowmaster. Yeah, in these blue mirrors, not having my own Bowmaster to answer opposing Bowmasters is such a big deal. So now I am taking 2 in combat. I can Pyroblast that Strix, which is cool, with the red mana that I have. All right. Braid is an answer to Bowmasters. All right. Hate this, though. So drop Volk. I think I am just going to take out Strix immediately. I always need to trade with that card, and I don't want my opponent to floop it back to their hand. But my opponent could just, at any point, floop a Ninja in, or Kaito in. Kaito I can Pyroblast, but my opponent is getting sick value. I just have too much mana here, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's too much mana, but I also can't double spell. And my next draw is, unfortunately, also a land. So I think what's going to happen here is that I kill the Bowmaster to keep cantrips live, but I think I am just going to lose to the Orc Army token. Just straight up, I think it dealing me a lightning bolt worth of damage every turn is likely to beat me. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So I am at 10 from that trigger. Then I am at 6. I am drawing a dead card here. I abrade one of these. I take 5 damage. A fetch land kills me. Cool. Cool. Yeah. I guess I'll wasteland to keep my opponent from hard casting 4-drops. But this is miserable. My opponent's deck is, I think, very good against Delver, generally speaking, but particularly good against my build that has extra X1s. Alright, fuck off with these Bowmasters. No. We absolutely got wrecked. GG's. This would be peak Delver action if, we could cast our spells. This is the Spybug without the mana to cast it. On 6, I think I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to throw back a Volk and keep the Wasteland. Fuck me. Oh no. Am I just going to fucking die on turn 1? Not literally, but yes. Yep. Winning the die roll is OP. I think I'm just dead to that. So, looks like my opponent is playing something like Pox. Another Spybug is not great. If I end up trading 2 Spybugs for Lily, that is not ideal for me. I need at least one of these lands. I'm going to just put the Ponder further down. So here's the thing. I have a Daze. It is really hard for me to cast that Daze, because if I do, I am back on lands and away from casting these Spybugs. I think I don't Daze that. Okay. That's honestly pretty good. I draw land, I play Spybug. I'm going to be discarding the other Spybug. That's not great. But I might not be discarding the other Spybug. It depends on if my opponent has an immediate answer for this. My opponent just -2s here. I can play another one. And then I end up losing the pawn. I don't know. There's a lot of permutations for what can happen next. Castle Locked Wayne. Okay. So my opponent takes my Spybug. Then Lily minus can kill this. And I'm looking to ponder for a lightning bolt and finish off Lily. Alright, know exactly what I'm playing towards. None of those cards are lightning bolt. Shuffle. Yes. Bobble. I think I am not drawing. If I draw and hit exactly lightning bolt and I kill that Liliana there, it's so good for me. But with anything else, it's just better to wait. Alright, so my opponent is now discarding a card when I am not discarding anything. This is presumably just going to be another discard spell that they couldn't use. Now I'll see what they're drawing next turn. They get a Mishra's Factory. And now I get 2 cards here to hopefully find something to fuck up Lily. That is not good enough. Now if this is an Orcish Bowmaster, I get to ping Lily, and then I have 2 separate bodies, and one of those gets to stay around afterwards. Which is a really big deal. Yep. And I'm going to need to trade at least. Okay, there. Yeah, I'll just wait. My opponent can start doing Castle Locked Wayne things. They do not. There's land drop. There's Lily plus. At which point, I'll kill Lily. My opponent can make their choice of drawing extra cards with Castle Locthwain or starting to do Mishra's Factory stuff. I think by waiting on my Lightning Bolt, I kept them from a Castle Locthwain activation. Alright, so now my opponent uses Castle Locthwain. Life's not great. What are you doing? Do you have another one? Also, just to beat the Orcish Bowmaster Dead Horse, you know, my opponent is drawing cards. So I'm going to get hit for 2 now by a Mishra's Factory. I'm actually not going to Surveil. Punished. If I Surveil, I can be wastelanded off of red very easily. I'm going to hold this for a Brainstorm. We'll get punished by Lily, of course. But if I hold lands, then sometimes my opponent will use a Thoughtseize or an Inquisition. Sure. Yeah, so if I had Surveilled, I would now be off red. Okay, yeah, so we got our opponent to deal 2 damage to themselves by holding a land. I will be taking 2 here, though. 16. So I'm going to bobble. I'll target myself. There's a Force of Will coming. I do not want that. I'm going to fetch. I'm going to just go with Volk. My opponent is actively playing land destruction. I think I need to respect my colors. For the Surveil land, I was intentionally trying not to use. Sure. Yep. I mean, this is very much why I am not getting that Surveil land, is in respect of my colors. Daze is terrible. We just need something thick like a Murktide Regent that can just hit my opponent twice and kill them. If I'm not pressuring their life total, then this stuff is a great use of their mana. I will just keep getting beaten to death. I'm now at 11. Alright. Bulk. DRC. Certainly a 3/3 at this stage. Opponent will pay 2 life for a card. Wasteland's annoying. I mean, yeah. Yep. I'm going to discard this card anyway. So I'm going to get a Surveil trigger out of this. No. If I lose an Underground Sea and my creature there, opponent will draw another card. Hey, that is exactly what I wanted. There's a Saga. Great for my opponent. Alright, I'm just going to concede. The game was largely over from the turn 1 Dark Ritual Lily on the play that I could not daze. Alright. My deck is not great versus this. Sorry, let me clarify. My sideboard is not great versus this. My main deck should, in theory, be fine. I'm going to trim 2 Considers to fit a couple more counter spells in. There's a lot of stuff that I don't want to counter, but the things that I need to counter, I need to counter. It's mostly Liliana. Okay, so now we've got a Delver with 2 Wastelands and a Daze to back it up. This is fantastic. Basic Swamp, pass. Straight up, I am just going to Brainstorm in response to my Delver trigger and get this fucking show on the road. Brainstorm. I'm going to assume that double Daze gets me through the bullshit that my opponent is going to do over the next couple of turns. I'm just going to get rid of Molten Collapse, flip to Ponder, play Flooded Strand, go to Punchies, put my opponent to 17, and then Ponder. Looks like I have more red stuff I care about. Yeah. Let's go bam, bam, bam. No shuffle. Now lots of counter magic plus Wasteland. There is a Wasteland. Awkward. I think that's happening. Force of Will that. Pitch a Daze. Then see if my opponent is Wastelanding me. Awkward if they do. I could try to get cute there and Daze first to bounce that land to hand. I think I would rather just hard cast a Daze on my following turn. Send in for 3. Opponent's at 14. Factory? I Daze it. Yeah, so opponent could have waited until my turn. Do not let that exact thing happen. So I will Wasteland Factory. I'll play my own new Wasteland. Send in for 3. Mana's a little awkward right now. Hopefully this onboard threat situation is just fine. Yep, that one's happening. I don't really want to be in this no threat past the turn situation versus this deck. The Wastelanding is probably not great for me. My opponent is most certainly playing an absurd number of lands. I don't know how many exactly, but a ton. So I lose my other threat that was not castable, and now I probably just get buried by Urza Saga. The Saga ticks up. It's great if my opponent does not have another land. And I'm going to have that same Surveil land tension here, where I have multiple different colors, and if I Surveil land, I knock myself off of a color to try to get selection. Cool. I lose Force of Will to that. Well, it has the rack. Yeah, and I need like red for Molten Collapse. This is not great. Ugh. Put back land. Fetch. Leave red open. Cast Brainstorm off of this. Okay. Put back Force of Negation, Lightning Bolt. Bolt beats Lily. There's still an Urza Saga plus something else here to deal with. The Construct token that is going to attempt to beat me to death is probably just going to be a 2/2. This is not great for me. Alright, so opponent is going to plus. I will fire a Bolt at Lily. And they will discard a card. It is another rack. So I'm going to take some damage here. I'm at 14. The same as before, I'll put them in the position where they can potentially Lily plus to discard one of their own cards. Yep. I am playing circles around this Liliana, and it doesn't matter. I am still just getting wrecked. So I am taking 5 damage per turn cycle between the rack and the Construct token. I don't think I can win from here. I guess I could draw like Murktide into Murktide. This is 7. This is 2 damage. I hold this so I take less damage. Sure. That is Hymn to Turok. I will trade 1 card for that. But I don't know how I win from here, right? I take 2, then I take 2, and then both of these permanents are lethal. This is how I win from here. The sweet release of death. GG's. Alright. We have an okay hand here. Opponent is mulliganing aggressively, and opponent keeps on 5. Alright, it is another mirror, and we've already learned that I really fucking want Orcish Bowmaster in any sort of mirror situation. My opponent takes their redraw. I will be pondering. I probably just keep the bonus mana. I have a bunch of cantrips. I can use it. I think I'll bury the Brainstorm and draw the others. Playing this Spybug into a Daze is rough. Found something else to do. Getting dazed right back would suck. It just sets me back from casting this as a proactive threat. Ooh. No land drop from my opponent. They did mulligan deeply. So my next card here is a Brainstorm. I think I'm just going to cast a Ponder looking for removal. Force of Will? DRC plus Spybug is great. Okay. Yeah. No shuffle. Pass. Now, this probably is going there. Ignore Daze? Yeah. Ignore Daze on the threat, that is. I've got this 1/1 in play. I think I'll just pass turn there with the ability to cast a cantrip. If my opponent ends up being Grixis as well and Bowmaster is around, then I will wish that I had done this already. See if they wasteland me. It's another card type in graveyard that I'm not showing yet. They will. And more wasteland, sure. Chain Lightning. No thank you. Force of Will, pitch Brainstorm, Surveil, Junk Brainstorm. I think I hold Consider. My opponent redraws. Ooh. Alright, we actually might finally get a Spybug pop off. We're going to do this pre-combat so that if this gets countered, I have a little bit more agency. Seeing Chain Lightning makes me think that my opponent is probably going to be straight blue-red. So much wasteland. Bobble as a slow cantrip is not what my opponent wants when they are under the gun from 2 different creatures. Boo! Alright. They get to eat that. So they take a redraw. I'm going to put another fucking Spybug into play. I do not have another untapped black source. Now next turn, I am going to consider And I am also going to Surveil land. These things are going to get big quickly. Not as quickly as if DRC was still in play, but I will go +4 power next turn. Stop with these fucking removal spells. I just want to hit people with Spybug. Yeah. Okay, well, we drew the Undercity Sewers. Consider. Wasteland. Yes. Always yield to that. So much for my plan of double surveilling, but hopefully this is fine. My opponent has shown me 3 removal spells already. Oh, that's so good. Surveil. You don't flip Delver. You go to graveyard. That's a 3/3. We'll throw Delver in play. Send in for 3. Opponent is at 13. Okay, opponent top decked another land immediately. They have a DRC. Delver trigger. Flip to Brainstorm. Absolutely. Cast Brainstorm. Okay. Land. Wasteland. Wasteland U. Play Delver. This has to attack. I'm just going to attack with the Menace creature here, and then I don't have to worry about this blocking anymore. Like, I will take a hit for 3. My opponent will take a hit for 7 back. Yeah. Turn 9. Well, my opponent has all of the single target removal in the world. I think I might want both Hydroblasts and Pyroblasts here. I could consider a Braid. Consider's out. That gives me this. It's just a pile O removal. I attempt to 1-for-1 my opponent, and then eventually win with a Murktide Regent. I do not think Dimir Spybug is good here. I have a pile of cards. I will keep. This is a hand that I would like a lot better on the play, but what are you gonna do? That is a DRC. That is fine. I am debating whether or not I want to do the crazy person thing and wasteland my opponent, who is already ahead on board. I can just wasteland them 2 turns in a row, and then once I can ignore days, I can try to remove DRC. I think I'm going to do that. I think just playing my own threat into their days and single target removal is not great. I think my highest percentage chance of winning this game is just my opponent not having a follow-up land. Nice. So, yeah. Volk. I'm going to attempt to remove this immediately. Success. Now, the scary thing for me is if my opponent wastelands me back here, which they did not. I'm not going to make the correct play this turn. Let the record show. I'm just going to throw down Spybug. I would like to assemble DRC Spybug. At least one fucking time in this league. I would like to do the thing. Opponent is on hard discarding. Alright. DRC. Ponder. Surveil trigger. Wasteland to graveyard. Trigger. Grow bug. Surveil land. Yes. So, yeah. Kind of doesn't matter what order. Yeah. No. Surveil. Keep that. See what you're drawing. It's not a land. So now I will send in for 3. I have the I have the engine going, and we put a match win on the board. GG's. All right, final round here. Looks like we're doing Delvery things. Don't you dare play an island. See that fucking Brainstorm avatar, Tiki Dan. In playing against so many islands. This league. It is very, very clear how good Bowmasters would have been. I mean, whatever. Opponent could, like, fetch up a fucking basic swamp. I don't know, I guess. Nah, it's Island. And Ponder. Sure. Hopefully it's at least, like, a combo deck this time. You know, a little variety, huh? Molten Collapse with double Wasteland is, like, a little awkward here. I think I am going in for Volk here. We are Delverin. Like, I have double Wasteland, double Days, and Force of Will as well. But, like, some hypothetical terrible things could happen. I think I need to fetch to work towards Molten Collapse and also just have the possibility of DRC. But if my opponent were to then just Wasteland me, it would be pretty rough. Don't you dare play a Baleful Strix. I have had enough trauma this league. That is just fine. My hand's very redundant. So now we start playing the game of, like, is this Reanimator? Is this mid-range? Is this combo? Force of Will is not overly surprising as the pick. Dazes can be played around with good information. That is a Ponder. Absolutely. I don't know exactly what I am pondering for at this time. probably another threat. That stuff's all mid. If I could have two of them at the same time, I think it's fine, but I can't. Let's try to high roll here. That's a high roll. That would have been one of the cards that I was looking for because my opponent just took a Force of Will. Stop it! Yeah, nothing changed since last turn, so the same decision has been made. Uncastable Dimir Spybug. Paired with uncastable Molten Collapse. Not what I'm looking for, but my opponent is at 8 life. So, like, we have some things going for us. Does my opponent have 3 basics? No. So I don't fully know what's going on over there yet. I will just be wastelanding the sewers. Get out. Now they put a card on top. They know that I have double days. New land. It is Doomsday. Personal Tutor resolves. So here's the funny thing about Personal Tutor. It goes to the top of your library. Found it. Opponent is at 4. I'm going to... Oh. They didn't even make me wasteland the fetch land to keep Personal Tutor from doing Personal Tutor things. Weird game. Very weird game. So I can consign to memory a Thassa's Oracle trigger. That sounds cool. I can force a negation, Doomsday, and Personal Tutor. Surgical Extraction technically does stuff versus Doomsday piles, but is not super exciting. Pyroblast technically does stuff, but is not super exciting. Is 10 threats enough if I get rid of the Spybugs? I would prefer 12. I don't think I have boarded out Spybugs in any round of this league. I think I'm going to junk them here. I should maybe keep 2. I also think it's possible that I get rid of Lightning Bolts, but post-Doomsday Lightning Bolts don't sound that bad to me. Yeah, absolutely. So the scary thing is a Doomsday with backup here. We're both on 7. Good, honest, fair fight. Opponent fetches and ponders. Basic lands are good. This is going to keep me from wastelanding them in the short term. So we will play a Delver. I don't think I get to fight back against that. I have another Delver. I am going to just do this immediately. Duress. So my plan there was try to draw a new blue card other than Delver. That way, if I need to Force of Will, I can keep a threat. Opponent has 2 basics. I lose Force of Will here. My hand is hot. Hot garbage. I've just got to play the Delver. I just have to. I have to get a clock in play. And, you know, sometimes my opponent Dark Ritual Doomsdays here or whatever. Yes. Doomsday on top. This is going to be a pretty big Delver flip turn. Much as I am complaining about Spybug, the ability to have a Surveil land in this sort of spot is really important. We would have gotten lucky and hit anyway, but the ability to flip this Delver and then have a blue card for Force of Will is very big. Now, my hand is bad enough that I am considering being greedy and casting Brainstorm. Any blue card puts me in a much, much better situation than I currently am in. I am accordingly going to go for that. And when I draw 3 lands, it's fine. Holy shit. Yeah. Have Force of Will around days. So now opponent has the Doomsday, and I am going to hope that they do not have another Duress effect and not Force of Will that Dark Ritual. There's the Doomsday. Force of Will. Yeah, that is a counter unless I pay 3. That'll do. So Doomsday is going to resolve. My opponent will be taking 4 to 6 damage on my turn, assuming that I get a turn. So piles with Street Wraith style cards and fetch lands are probably a little more questionable. There's not a land in play for me to wasteland. My Delver's not guaranteed to flip. I don't have another Surveil land. Alright, my opponent went really deep into the tank for their pile. Any fun things here? Sheoldred and Goyf, both chilling here. There's a Deep Analysis LED pile. Not what's happening here. My opponent is at 8. Now, hear me out. What if we just flipped a Lightning Bolt, huh? What if we just ran a little hot? I believe I had 2 lands on top of my library. Delverino. Flip to Ponder. Absolutely. Combat. Send it. Opponent is at 2. Find Lightning Bolt. Nope. Shuffle. Yep. Fuck. Yeah. They got it. They got it. That is a Brainstorm. Edge of Autumn. Edge of Autumn. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. It needs to be something like Cavern, Petal, Oracle. Cavern, Petal, black. Oh no, that was a black floating already, I see. Yep, there's the Oracle. Opponent has 1 card, but I can't remove the Oracle, obviously. So we go to another game. So I saw Shouldered and Goyf. I just don't have answers to those. So let's just hope that my opponent does not play those, or if they do, that I have Force of Will at the time, or Days. They're expensive. Hand's fine. I think I'm going to bobble myself and use that to inform my decisions for my turn. That is a Murktide Regent. Let's work towards that. None of those are counter spells, though. Maybe I can't keep all of that. Hey, counter spell. I will take my bobble redraw. Okay. So I would like another piece of interaction, and I would like a threat. See what opponent's got going on. Duress and Thoughtseize style effects might end up taking my Force of Will, in which case I try to adjust this hand with Brainstorm. Yep. Delver's fine. Oh, wait, my opponent took Brainstorm instead of my Force of Will that I just assumed that they were going to take. Interesting. Might just mean I'm going to get hit with another spell here. I'm actually going to start... No, I can't start there. This is a little awkward. I think what I'm going to do is grab a volcanic island immediately, cast a Ponder, and see if I can set up some Delver nonsense. I can set up some Delver nonsense. So bam. Why do I want to do this? Like this. So now we have played Delver while also keeping a card for Force of Will. But my opponent didn't care about the Force of Will last turn. There's land drop. So Delver trigger, flips to Force of Negation, drop land, punchies for 3 in the air. Now I've got a couple of counterspells available, and we'll see where this goes. I know that opponent is going to get a Surveil land off of this, or at least I highly suspect it. But I think I want to have the ability to hard cast Force of Negation in some instances, so I don't think I am just playing Wasteland, anticipating them fetching Surveil land. We're not fighting over stuff that looks like that. Doomsday matters, Personal Tutor might matter, Sheoldred and Goyf matter. There's an Underground Sea. Ball Ritual is fine. That is a Doomsday. I'll try this. In doing this way, I am not open to an opposing Daze. Oh shit, it just worked. Unexpected. I'm going to fetch away that Bobble. Just Surveil here. Opponent goes to 10. Doomsdays to 5. Bolt plus Delver kills. Okay. Wasteland. Junk Underground Sea. Get to 10. Land drop. Goyf. Force of Will. Pitch Force of Negation. Everything's working. This is great. We're going to hold Lightning Bolt until after Doomsday if possible. Land drop's not fantastic here. Not what I'm looking for, obviously. Opponent is at 7. Sheoldred is now the scariest thing that can happen. Just land drop Sheoldred. Oh, god damn it. Goyf and Sheoldred are singletons. So I am okay because the life happens from card draw. So as long as something like a Bobble doesn't come and fuck it up, I still have this. So I lose 2. No sneaky reach. Send it. Opponent is at 3. I can bait Force of Will with Murktide Regent, or I can play around Double Daze. I think I'm going to bait here. Force, Daze, Ponder, Brainstorm, Ponder. Alright, seems like we're good. Bolt to the face. Ugh. We fought tooth and nail to put 2 wins on the board this league. There were a lot of basic lands on the other side of the battlefield that ignored our wastelands. Alright, so how do we feel about the Spybug? So a couple of things here. Number 1, my opponents respected it, and often respected it over something like Delver that was already flipped, I think. The Spybug has the potential to go wild and does need to be respected. But in practice, I believe that over 5 rounds, in only a single game, did we actually line up Spybug plus DRC. And I think when that happened, the DRC was answered very quickly. So in the dream world where you have double DRC Spybug, that Spybug could go great, but like at that point, won't 2/3/3 flyers just win you the game? You could try to slow down this deck a little bit and go more mid-rangey, maybe go up to 3 mana for some things like K Command or something like that. But I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze on Dimir Spybug. When it is good, it can do some pretty cool things. But in all these blue matchups, I was just like, man, I wish this was Bowmaster. Man, I wish this was Bowmaster. And I think that just holds true here. As a more subtle thing, having a card that requires that requires blue-black pips specifically, while also having cards that require black-red or blue-blue to cast, puts a decent amount of tension on your mana base. Like, when you island, you can't Molten Collapse. When you have, like, Volk as your starting land, and then you have a Wasteland, you can't Dimir Spybug. So I think the double-colored pips alone would make me want to rule this out. Like, even if this was a bit bigger, like, let's say this was a 2/2 base, so it does not die to an opposing Orcish Bowmaster trigger. I think just the double pips alone would make me not want to play that card versus something like Murktide Regent. Murktide Regent can be cast off Volk, or CC. You could maybe put one more Surveil land into this deck, but I think it is, again, coming at the cost of something like Wasteland. The Considers were a little awkward. I was finding that when I was casting Consider with a DRC in play, I wasn't just dumping a bunch of stuff into Graveyard. I was instead going like, oh, I kind of need that card, and then not digging deeper, which is like fine if you are actually getting the card that you want. But in this deck, I feel about Consider how I often feel about something like Thought Scour in a Delve deck, where it's like, yeah, okay, this is playable, but it doesn't exactly feel good. So this was a cool thought experiment. I am glad we did it. Now we know, instead of just speculating, now we know. And that's okay. A lot of times when you try to brew something, when you try out some cool idea, the vast majority of the time it doesn't work. And that's fine. I think you should save your Dimir Spybug for the casual table. And if you want to do something like this, there's actually a really cool commander precon that runs Mirko Obsessive Theorist that has a lot of really cool Surveil synergies. I bought that precon and I have like upgraded it and it was really fun to play. I think if you want to fuck around with stuff like that, that is the place where you will probably have a fun time doing that. You need that precon, just saying. You'll probably have it here. Promo code ThrabenU. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.